actually going to be most successful in your business life? The one with all the degrees and the right universities and the right professor that nobody want to work with? Or this guy coming from a pretty bad university, pretty bad grades and horrible professors, but very likable. People trust the guy and really love working with him. I know it's pretty black and white, but you know what my surveys actually show? This guy will become way more successful than this one. Isn't that interesting? Now, the world is not always this black and white. What I'm just saying is that naturally, I don't hope we ever get into a world where we live without this one. Could you imagine that? Then everybody would be really good at talking about something they know nothing about. I mean, that would be 0%. So I agree with you that the 15% is the foundation to everything else. So we definitely need this one. And we could always argue, is this one 15 or 20 or 25? That's not really important. What I'm just saying, the majority of the reason people are successful is because of the human engineering and not the technical part. You had a comment?
The piece that I don't see in here is luck.
That's a good point. Well, it's a very good point. We did research into luck. So how big a piece of the pie should be luck, according to your...
I think it should be a pretty big piece.
Yeah, so in percentage?
I don't know. 20%.
Well, you could be right. I haven't got a clue. How many of you feel that luck should be a part of this one? Yeah? That's interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
I think Colin thinks so.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Well, okay, so you can just throw this out and start all again. Is that what you're saying? Well, thank you. No, I agree with you, actually. Great. Okay, we're going to have a break in a minute. I just want to end off before the break with this one. When we are talking about skills of engagement into Smartnership, basically what we're talking about is rules of the game, as I said earlier. We need to understand the Smartnership. We're going to discuss that just after the break. We need to use the Negoeconomics to utilize those potential 42%. We need to agree on a strategy. We need to define our values in a negotiation. And we need to understand it's not a competition. When we're negotiating with somebody, it's actually kind of cooperation where we're working together. It's not about beating up the counterpart. It's not a competition. It's not like the Olympics in London. It's not all about winning at the expense of the counterpart. It's about winning, but not at the expense of the counterpart. I'm actually just going to conclude this slide up here. We've been studying 30,000 negotiations globally, and we came up with this pie. Somebody might be thinking, you know, that's a huge amount of work just coming up with a pie, but we're very happy with this pie. Anybody got any idea what this pie is showing? And from now on and the rest of the day, it's going to be even more simple than what I've been talking about so far. So this one is pretty simple as well. Anybody got any idea what this pie is showing?
I think as per this pie,
yep.
19% of the time purchaser wins over something which they want.
Yeah, it could be. It's not though. It's not quite that. What this pie is actually showing is a value of a negotiation, okay? Let's say this is a negotiation that has a total value of, whatever, $100 million, okay? What we discovered in average, if we got a seller and a buyer, is that the buyer in average leaves the negotiation table with only 19% of all the values. But he or she might still be very happy and thinking, this was valuable. I had a good negotiation. What we discovered in average as well is that the seller is leaving the negotiation table with approximately 39% of all the values. And he or she could be very happy with that number as well, thinking this was very successful. But what neither of them ever discovered, identified, or capitalized is the potential value of the Negoeconomics, which is 42%. So what I'm basically saying now is that two parties are negotiating, concluding a deal, leaving the table being happy, but what they never identified was that they left the table with approximately up to 42% that were lost, just like I'm dropping this book, without neither the buyer or the seller ever identified this value, capitalized this value, or gained any of this value. Do you know what, guys? I'm willing to give each and everyone in the room a written guarantee that there's a huge potential, unidentified, non-capitalized value in your negotiation that you don't get, and your counterpart don't get either. I'm willing to give you that in writing. I'm even willing on behalf of IACCM to tell you guys that you get a complete refund of participating in this conference if it's not true. I'm that sure. What I'm not willing to give you a guarantee of, though, is that it's 42%, because that could vary a lot. It could be 8% in your world, it could be 22% in your world, it could be 7% in your world, it could be 3% in your world. That varies a lot from company to company, to industry, but I know for a fact we have a huge potential of never capitalized added value. And I'm going to show you how much where it's coming from just after the break, okay?